Alright, how's it going everyone? This is Tyrant Psychosis, and I'm actually going for my first try at a review of something. And I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of Dust 514. And I've only had access to the beta for a little bit now. I just got into it on the PlayStation. And so far, I really like it. I only had a chance to play Eve for maybe a few hours before I absolutely could not stand it. But once my friend, who's an Eve addict, started talking about Dust 514, my interest was piqued. So I looked more into it, and I applied for the beta, and I just got an invite. And so, as I said, I've been playing it for a while, and so I'm just going to go over a few of my pros and cons on it, and what I think of it personally. And there's an owl outside my room, which will not shut up. Anyways, so here we go. So first off, I wanted to talk about some of the cons. And I, of course, understand this is a game which is in its beta state right now, so there's a lot that still has to be adjusted, but it's just my feelings for right now, and what I'm really hoping that they address when the game does get released. So this isn't something that I'm just sitting here complaining about, saying, oh god, this game sucks because of blah 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 blah. Anyways, first of all, character creation. Right now it seems pretty minimal, but I can see this being something that they're really going to hammer out in the future and really work on. But for right now, the character creation is pretty minimal. One of the few things I do remember about Eve is that of the four factions, they're all pretty diverse. You have the faction which is really religious based. You have the faction which is a bit more ragtag, basically kind of like your, I don't want to say pirates, but something like that. The kind of like a lot of their ships are really thrown together. Then you have the very dictator-based faction, and finally the one which is very artistic-oriented. And that's the best description I can do for each faction. But right now, when you do create a character in Dust 514, you do get access to all four factions. The problem is, when you create a character with one faction versus the other, his physical appearance, at least for right now, looks identical with each one. Now, his quarters does differ depending on who you choose, and that's one thing that I will say is a very awesome pro. Is right now, when you do create a character, if you choose a faction, his quarters are specific to that faction. So, like the Minmatar are the very ragtag pirate-ish faction right now. And if you pick them, you have a very dusty, kind of danky looking mercenary quarters, and it looks great. I love it. And then if you pick the more artistic group, you know, you've got a bit more sleek look to your quarters, and that's really something that looks good right now, and I really hope they continue that. And if you could do something later on with your actual character, as far as making him look a bit more like the faction that he's a part of, I feel like that'd be a really awesome way to make this game a bit more distinguished. Also, I feel like the learning curve is a little steep right now. It's nowhere near as bad as Eve was. I mean, this is just me. I know I'm a video game retard. I tried playing Eve, and it was the controls. It was everything about the game. I just could not get my brain around it, and so I just gave up on it. I know that once you do get into it, it becomes a hell of a lot of fun, but I just couldn't devote the time for it. This isn't as bad, but there's a lot to grasp right now, and I really hope they end up adding some sort of tutorial or something to make it a bit more easy. Right now, when you click on a section in your mercenary quarters, like your character outfitter, you get just a brief little pop-up, which is like, here's a quick overview. I feel right now it's not clear enough. They need to hammer that out if they want to keep people happy with the beta. I feel like they could do something with like tutorial videos, or maybe even like a quick run through, like a tutorial map that you can mess around with, play around with your character and stuff like that. There's just a lot of things that I'm still lost with in the beta. Like when I get items, I'm not sure where they go. There's certain things that I've bought that I can't figure out where they go. Same thing with like skill books. I've purchased them and no idea where they go to. But granted, there's still a lot of sections in the beta that still say soon or coming soon, stuff like that. So that's one thing. I feel like a lot of the maps they have right now are really repetitive, and in terms of like they all look really similar, but they are very, very large. In terms of comparing them to like Call of Duty maps, they're about 3 or 4 times as big, which is really great. And when you have giant towering buildings over you, as well as 2 spaceships the size of the Empire State Building battling above you, that's a great feature. It makes the battle feel so much more epic. But as far as just like physical appearance of close up, everything's just kind of that ruined city look, or dusty hills, rolling hills, stuff like that, just mountains. It's really repetitive, and it makes it so that I've only really been able to play it in shorter bursts before I kind of start wishing for something a bit more like a jungle planet or a swamp planet or an ice planet, something like that. And again, I know this is still an early beta, and I know they're going to add more maps because Eve is a constantly growing game, and to have this paired with Eve, they're really going to try and keep up with that, at least I feel. But right now, the maps feel really repetitive. This is a bit more of a minor one. The Move controls, the PlayStation Move, those controls are absolutely shit. I actually do have a PlayStation Move, and I like it for certain games, but for this, I tried it, and I couldn't move more than like 10 feet without getting shot. I run into stuff like crazy. Your turn radius is absolute rubbish. I don't know if that's just how most first-person shooter games play with the move, or if it's just specific to this, or if they haven't worked on them, but right now it is something you're probably going to get killed if you even try it. Granted, I haven't tried it with the full-on gun attachment thing, since I'm too much of a cheap bastard to go for that, but right now, with just the move and the PlayStation controller, it really doesn't work very well. Finally, I've just been having, I don't know if this is just me, so if anyone out there is having the same issue, let me know. My network connection's been really crappy with this game. Basically, at least 3 times while playing it, I get disconnected, saying the file, or the server's down, try again later, stuff like that. Again, I don't know if that's just me, or if it's actually just they're really having problems with their servers or something like that. But again, I can't really complain about that since it's a game still in its beta. I know I'm saying that a lot.